What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. This is a list only I'm making. There are no other critics that have made this list because there are no other blind film critics to my knowledge. Well, if there are, I mean, they're not here. So I've got some friends who are podcasters, but they're definitely not on YouTube doing what I'm doing the same way I'm doing it. So these are the top 10 films that I wish had had audio description from 2024. The films that, if I could award audio description to 10 films so that we could understand them better, what the fuck would I give it to? And so we're going to talk about each one of these films and why. I also have, like all of my lists, honorable mentions, because you can go to basically anyone else's channel and I promise you they have honorable mentions. So, let's kick it off, shall we? Yes, I'm blind, and so the accessibility that I need is an audio description track to be able to understand the movie, which means all of these movies have no known audio description, and, well, 19 of the 20 of them have no known audio description. We'll get there. And it just makes it hard to analyze a film that might be worth analyzing, might be worth talking about. There might be something there, not in the English language, pick the reason why. And then me as a blind person, I'm just sitting there going, well, I can't read subtitles, or not enough dialogue, or I have no idea what's going on here. And we'd like to be able to participate in the conversation, too, as blind and low vision people, instead of having our content curated for us and people deciding what we can and cannot watch by deciding what does and does not get to have audio description, which is what I live in and why I'm trying to change that. So like and subscribe. Kicking off the list, at the bottom of my honorable mentions list is that sort of question mark. I put it on here anyway because I want to talk about it. Sugarcane, which is definitely one of the best documentaries of the year. I can't actually fully review and grade it because Disney is not using the audio description track for the film that exists. There's an existing audio description track for this film. It is not on Disney Plus or Hulu. That is a truth. That is a true statement that I know to be true. I don't know why, but this is something that Disney and Hulu constantly do. They still have no audio description uploaded for The First Omen and for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. These are films that they've had up for months that were in theaters with audio description, that are 20th Century Fox titles, that they have complete ownership over, and they're not uploading their own accessibility. So therefore, Sugarcane is inaccessible. It definitely was not in theaters near me. So I was offered a screener of it, didn't have audio description. So yeah, moving up the list, number 19.
Cap Sugar Cap, misspelled Cap Queendom.
Queendom. I like this movie. LGBT doc. I believe this was Oscar shortlisted. About sort of like what Pride looks like in Russia. Problem is, it's all in Russian. So, yeah, I need audio description for this. That's pretty self-explanatory. Number 18.
Cap Goodrich.
Goodrich. I added this recently. We lost the movie because of it, but when it dropped on Max without audio description, I had also seen, it was on VOD, and I haven't seen this with known audio description. I like the movie enough that I wish it had audio description. So I swapped one Michael Keaton for another because I'm not 100% sure Knox Goes Away doesn't have audio description. It's just not being used. But basically, we lost Knox Goes Away for Goodrich. I was like, I don't know. I feel like I'd rather watch Goodrich again. So I'll give Goodrich the spot. Moving up the list, number 17.
Cap Invisible Cap Raptor.
Invisible Raptor. This was a fun little movie. I love watching these weird, campy horror movies. This is my favorite thing about being added to critics groups this year and getting offered screenings is that I get offered these movies that I don't think anybody else is watching and critics don't care about. And they're just like, I don't know, man. I was like, what is this? What's Invisible Raptor? Sounds really interesting to me. So I jumped into it and I was like, yeah, this is goofy and silly and it totally knows what it is. And, this year I got Clone Cops, which is going to be on this list next year. And they're really fun. Like, they're fun movies. They're very aware of what kind of movie they're making. And I kind of wish the directors of Invisible Raptor and Clone Cops were the ones that were actually making the Winnie the Pooh and Mousetrap movies. Because those movies are abysmal because those people are thinking that they're making like a completely different movie, or they think they have a different skill set of talent. It's like, no, you're making a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. Have some fucking fun with it, man. Like, the guy who made a movie called Invisible Raptor knew how goofy that was and had fun with it. Is it still a horror movie? Definitely. But I can't know to what extent because there's no audio description to describe the gore. So, you know. Moving up the list, another honorable mention.
Cap and Cap the Cap Summers.
In the Summers, another film I was trying to pick up what it was putting down. I was like, I would probably like this movie. It's a coming of age drama. Problem is, half of it's in Spanish. My Duolingo score is like a 30. I'm not there yet. By the time I get to the point where I will be fluent enough to be able to understand In the Summers, it still won't have audio description to tell me like the visual aspects of the film anyway. So can we just put audio description on it and make it happen? But yeah, In the Summers makes the cut. Honorable mention anyway. Moving up the list, there were a lot of movies I saw this year that were solid that didn't have audio description.
Cap the Cap Old Cap Oak.
The Old Oak, Ken Loach's BAFTA nominated movie. I can't find audio description for this, even in the UK. Like, apparently this movie managed what is essentially a Best Picture nomination for them and did not gain audio description, UK audio description. So I don't know why. Like, I don't know what's up with this. I would think, like, you get a BAFTA nomination for Best Picture. Shouldn't that draw more attention to your movie? I don't know. But I think this is the movie that we need right now so badly. Like, more people need to watch The Old Oak. Just thematically what the movie is about in terms of sort of xenophobia and tackling that and throwing xenophobia just right out the window. Just being like, no, this is that. Why don't we look at the human stories behind it? So, I would have loved to know The Old Oak. Moving up the list.
Cap Good Cap One.
Good one. I like this movie. I put some of these movies on some of my other lists. Occasionally they pop in. Some of these movies made my most underrated films, which I allowed an audio description because a lot of those had to be really indie, which means I had a lot of movies that were not funded well enough to be able to have an audio description track. Good one also made first time feature list for me. So it's a directorial debut. And I just want to capture the nuance of these actors. It's basically like 3 actors on screen the whole time on this camping trip. And it's awkward, it's weird. And then it's got like this third act moment where like a mic is dropped essentially and like nothing, like the whole tone, it shifts in the movie. And I just would much rather have audio description to be able to rope us all in and bring us into this experience. But also, probably would have indicated that the people who bought Good One for distribution cared a little bit more about the movie, to put it out there. Just saying, it deserved better distribution and more traction than it got. Moving up the list.
Cap Green Cap Border.
Green Border. This is nominated at the Spirit Awards. If I did an international films list that looked anything remotely, it would look like a wish list rather than, because the amount of movies that actually had audio description this year that were international, like, I don't know, like six or, well, I guess I could count all the random Netflix movies like Wages of Fear and Nice Girls, and say I saw maybe about 10 international titles this year that had audio description, thanks to Netflix just randomly putting audio description on titles nobody had ever heard of or cared about. But Green Border is an incredibly effective, war drama, sort of migrants trying to cross over, and what they're willing to do to try to save themselves. I was really surprised this didn't make the Oscar shortlist, especially after I read about it and heard other people talk about the movie. It was very much a movie that I wanted to be engaged by and get into. She makes really interesting directorial choices. I believe the film was shot in black and white, so it looks a little bit more, like it's supposed to sort of resemble a little bit of like a Holocaust drama, and just sort of the atrocities that are happening in a specific part of the country. And films like this let us know about things that are happening in other countries that we're not necessarily aware of. So I would have loved to have full access to Green Border, as well as letting everybody else know Green Border is worth their time. Moving up the list. Red Rooms. This was really awkward because somebody offered this to me. We, in one of my critics groups, they really petitioned for Red Rooms and Black Dog. And if I had to pick one, it seems like Red Rooms was the film that, although Black Dog really interchangeably here, I just felt more like I could be engaged by Red Rooms in the end, especially when people are trying to compare it to David Fincher. It's got twists and stuff, and I couldn't feel any of the twists because the film is like 95% French, and the only time she ever speaks in English is when she's speaking to her, like home AI assistant, like a Echo device. So I would have much rather had audio description on this, although Black Dog is another film that's completely unwatchable without audio description because it's not in the English language, it's Chinese. Also, it seems like a cool movie to have audio description for. I had to draw the line somewhere. It's not a full list of every single title this year that I saw without audio description. But yes, this is still just honorable mentions. So Red Rooms, I would have loved to have audio description on that to be able to appreciate it. Moving up the list. The Last Stop in Yuma County. This is a film that has, earlier in the year, everybody was about this movie, and then later in the year, it's like people forgot this movie existed, or they saw enough other movies that they weren't about it anymore. But for a period of time, this was like one of those movies everybody was talking about, and they're like, "Oh, Last Stop in Yuma County, gotta check this out." And I saw it, and it feels like it's going to be one of those Boondock Saints, Donnie Darko thing, where it's going to sort of have its own little following. Like it didn't make a lot at the box office, very independent, doesn't have a major star to really push it through. So it's going to completely rely on word of mouth and its following to kind of keep it alive and keep it going. And there are plenty of movies like this. I had the opportunity to mention Suicide Kings in a review earlier this year. That's another film that's like that, where it just didn't make enough money. But it's like, if you've seen Suicide Kings, you know that Suicide Kings is worth the time. So, yeah, I think Last Stop in Yuma County we would benefit from having audio description on it to be able to understand the sort of like twisty nature of the movie, fully appreciate what is likely a stepping stone for somebody to move on. Although, the director of Donnie Darko didn't, turned out Donnie Darko was pretty much that was it. Anyway, moving up the list, I think we're in the top 10 now. We are. Number 10 is High Tide. This is an LGBTQ film that has a little bit non-English in it, but it's also a drama, and it doesn't have a lot of dialogue, and I was really enjoying it, picking up on what it was putting down. I enjoyed it. I would love to get it. The thing is, I left off one of the films that I saw this year that I really liked, Glitter and Doom. I left off because even without audio description, I can at least enjoy the music, like the banger music. It's a musical. It's pretty much like nonstop music, and it's all in English. So I at least I was able to. I can sit back and just listen to the music of Glitter and Doom and get something out of it. But the films like High Tide, it's like I'm constantly like disconnected from the intent of the film and the characters and stuff like that. It's like I want to be here for you. I feel like you and I are going to get along, but you're not you're not giving me what I need, man. You know, so I would love to be able to see High Tide again with audio description. Moving up the list, number 9.
Cat Boys.
Big Boys. This is another one currently nominated at the Independent Spirit Awards, and this has made a couple of my lists, including First Time Feature and as well as Underrated Films and Best Actor. I put this on the Best Actor list. It's a coming of age story, but it's out in the woods. It's a small cast. They're not always talking. There's a lot of nuance that I'm sure I'm missing. There's a whole scene where something happens in the woods and then they like never want to talk about it ever again. And the other guy's super chill about it. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. I mean, I could look up what happened and find out what happened, but I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to Google movies afterwards. Sighted people don't have to like Google, movies afterwards. They can just sit there and watch the movie and leave the theater and be like, yep, I saw everything. I was able to absorb all of that. And we need that experience. So moving up the list, number 8.
Cap the Cat Girl Grammatical Error Cap with Cap the Cat Needle.
The Girl with the Needle, which might get audio description at some point. This is very weird because like Mubi has been like dipping their toes into audio description. Like I found Crossing with audio description after I had seen it without audio description as a screener. But The Girl with the Needle, currently I can't find it with audio description, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to change or it's something not going to update it. Mubi's like dipping their toes into audio description this year with like The Substance, Bird, and Crossing. Maybe they'll put it on The Girl with the Needle. I don't know. But, I saw this movie and I sat through the whole damn thing. This is one of the movies I have like a review up of. And I'd love to be able to watch this once I, saw some other people talking about it and it looked like it was close to getting an Oscar nomination, getting a Golden Globe nomination. This seems like a really powerful story that I'd love to be able to get my head around. And I think it's important for us as a people here in America to continue to be absorbed by content that is not just created by and reflective of our American thoughts on things. So we have to be able to enjoy international content. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to turn into assholes. That's just our future. We only know the American way of ever doing anything, so I don't know. Anyway, moving up the list, number 7. The People's Joker, which, based on my ability to understand it, is technically my favorite film this year that did not have audio description. However you want to interpret that. It's made several of my lists. It's made as many lists as I can possibly let a movie make that will end up on that doesn't have an audio description track. My best films of 2024 list will not have films that do not have audio description. So I mentioned this in the most underrated films, and I mentioned this in this category. This is my favorite film that I watched this year that does not have audio description. This was the weirdest experience, joyfully so. I liked Vera Drew's, and she made both First Time Feature and a director list for me, and she will also be on my Best Actress list when I put that out, which I haven't done yet because actress is such a clusterfuck. And I know people are, if anybody's waiting for any lists, they want to see which actresses I picked and where I put them and what I ranked them in, because there were a ton of actress performances this year. So that's why I'm doing all the other lists first, making you wait. I could probably do Best Picture before I do Best Actress. I think more people are. Anyway, It just needs audio description. Vera, I love you, but please put audio description on this. Please get some people to put some audio description on this. I'm so happy that Gallica nominated it because we had a whole bunch of other indie LGBTQ films that we just like left off, and we were like, Challengers happened this year. I'm like, is Challengers the gayest thing that we've seen this year? Is it the queerest movie of the year? I don't know. I feel like, I mean, there's like some tension there, but is there more than that? I don't know. I feel like we're really, there are some other films that are kind of really definitely leaning that way that I don't think anybody saw except me. Was I the only one that watched all my screeners? Anyway, moving up the list. Handling the Undead. This is, by the way, it's on Hulu if you just want to, suffer through this. It was funny because I was sent this through from Neon. And I reached out to Neon, and Neon last year really helped me by giving me audio description for films that I didn't. And I sent them a thing, and I said, hey, I got your box this year, and is there any way I could get audio description tracks for blank, 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 and like the titles that I hadn't seen. And then I got ghosted. I have a feeling it's because none of those tracks had audio description, although I since have seen 2073 drop in the iTunes store with audio description. I'm just not re-reviewing it because Neon can fuck a duck. I asked for audio description, I didn't get it, and I didn't like that movie well enough to watch it a second time, so I'm just not doing it. I questioned, like, is this a documentary? I don't know. It's got acting in it. There's like a whole, anyway. So no, 2073 did not make this list. But Handling the Undead, when I found out, it seems stupid because you're like, what is this? There were other more important films this year. Why is this so high on your list? You know why? It's from the writer of Let the Right One In, and it's a zombie movie. That's only like two things. Like, it's based on a book that was written from the same writer who wrote Let the Right One In, which is my favorite international feature of all time. I said favorite, I'd say best. Favorite and best are two different things. I tend to lean towards favorite because those are the films I'm going to watch more and more. And I've seen Let the Right One In actually several times. And I really enjoy it. I like it better than Let Me In. I did think Showtime was trying to do something interesting with their series, and I would have been here for it had that series run at least another season. It did not. So when Handling the Undead comes out and I can't understand it and I find out where it's coming from, I'm like, I really want to know it. Plus, it's got that Renata Reis from Worst Person in the World is in this. And I would have really, I think I really would have enjoyed Handling the Undead. That's just me. Like, reading what the film was about, I'm like, I think this is up my alley. 100%. This is me, Anyway, or this is me, ... now. Moving up the list. Evil does not exist. This is another one. My heart broke. Breaking Hearts. This is from the director of Drive My Car, which was a gorgeous movie that I loved a lot. And his follow-up is this, and it doesn't have audio description. And it's like, I read what the movie's about, and I'm like, fuck, this would be a great movie to see with audio description. Unfortunately, doesn't exist. It's not in English, so we don't have access to it. So I can't really, all of the other cited critics, I follow at like 300 channels or something like that on YouTube. Everybody, they talk about how they get to follow these international directors, their styles are auteurs. I've always Drive My Car because it's the only fucking movie he's ever made that has audio description. So if he's an auteur, I don't know, man. I wanted to be able to appreciate more from him, but I just can't. Like, it's life. This is what it's like being blind. Anyway, moving up the list. The Seed of Sacred Fig. Yeah, Neon dropped the ball on this one as well. The Iranian, charged Dude Escape the Country. There was some talk early on about maybe he would get a director nomination for his bravery in making this movie. He Can Never Go Home Again, basically. He like risked everything for this movie. Well, he got an international Oscar nomination out of it. Like, I mean, the film got an international Oscar nomination, so maybe something. But yeah, I would have one of my favorite, probably even I would say better than Let the Right One In. Technically, is A Separation, and that's a great movie. I actually liked The Hero when it came out, so I've seen other Iranian movies. These people are fully capable of making great cinema coming out of Iran. I know it seems weird, and you're like, don't we hate them? And it's like, their artists seem to be fine. Their movies are good. So, I was really excited about seeing Seated Sacred Fig, and I thought because it was with Neon, I was like, it's got a shot. No, they didn't do it. They didn't put audio description on it. They didn't like it enough to put audio description on it. So, moving up the list to another depressing realization that that film that everybody just keeps going nuts over, Hundreds of Beavers, does not have audio description. And this one kind of pisses me off because they keep taking it around. It's self-distributed. It's like, you have made enough money at this point self-distributing this movie that is all over the fucking place. It's on like every single streaming service. There's no way that you haven't made enough money to acquire to make an audio description track for Hundreds of Beavers. So now you're at a point where you just are purposefully not caring that blind people can't see your movie. Even when I acquired the screener, they were still doing live screenings of Hundreds of Beavers. And I was like, this movie opened at the beginning of the year. You've been screening this movie in theaters all year long, making money, putting this thing on streaming services where I know you're getting residuals. And you're telling me that you can't put out a couple $1,000s to do an audio description track for your movie that really essentially has no dialogue. It is all just physical slapstick comedy. Seriously? Go fuck yourself. Anyway, moving up the list. The next one is Flow. Yeah. Flow has no audio description. That silent cat movie. I sat through that and I got to hear the sound effects. It's so weird watching that movie out of context because it sounds like a cat is dying at certain points, like it's being drowned. And you're like, what is happening in this movie? What is this? I got a screener for it and I sat through the damn movie. I did my duty. I did my due diligence. This is a Best Animated Feature nominee, and it stands a shot at winning the Oscar with no audio description, and to me that's unacceptable. So Flow is up here because yeah, we have to have audio description on this. I'm hoping I have to root against it because I hope The Wild Robot wins, because I know that our Best Documentary Feature is very likely going to not have audio description. And I want us to have the most accessibility that we can have. And at least with Emilia Perez and Fernando Torres' movie, whose name escapes me right now, having audio description, that's two films in the international race that could win. That could give us an international nominee that has audio description. And if Wild Robot wins, that'll give us an animated feature nominee that has audio description. But I don't see how my number one pick doesn't win documentary feature. I feel like it's going to. And even if it doesn't, I think its runner-up is Sugarcane, which is, I've already covered. Maybe that'll wake up Disney and Disney will be like, oh shit, we should use that audio description track. We just won the Oscar. Damn. Anyway, so more egregious than Flow and also more important of a film than Flow is my winner of this category, No Other Land. Now, I'm giving this film a huge pass because it doesn't technically have distribution. It doesn't technically. No, I don't even know how it qualified. They've somehow managed to meet the minimum qualifications without a distributor. Like, it still hasn't, to my knowledge, has not been picked up for distribution. Because people just seem to not want to touch the film that shows that Palestinians are getting their lives just absolutely demolished in Gaza, and at this time, after these announcements about like America coming into in the United States of Gaza, you know, we're gonna turn it into like the Riviera, the fucking bullshit. Anyway, I don't know what the voting period is for the Oscars, but I feel like No Other Land might have gotten a few more votes after that announcement, where people were like, "I'm on the fence between oh shit, now I got to vote for No Other Land." Yeah, this is the documentary of the year. This is it. This is 20 Days of Mariupol was last year. It felt like it defined the year, and No Other Land feels like it defines this year. I know what the documentary is about. I've heard commentary on it. I've learned as much as I can possibly learn about this documentary without actually experiencing it with audio description. I've experienced it without audio description, but the only English that exists in the movie is from like American newscasts when he cuts those in. And I would argue, because I had this debate with somebody when I was advocating for international films, and they were like, well, the primary track should be the film. You know, I mean, it should have audio description in the language in which it was created. Okay, that's valid for films like Girl with the Needle and stuff like that. It's like, once you come to America and you submit, we should make you have audio description. Like, if you're submitting for the Oscar race, if Oscars required audio description, that would be game-changing. But also, if a movie like this is clearly trying to get American audiences, all of those news clips are all in English. They're never in another language. Everybody in the world should be interested in what's happening in Palestine, but yet they have specifically chosen to target English speakers with the English speaking newscasts. There isn't like a French newscast. There's no German newscast. Everything is in English. This movie is made for English speakers. It just happens to have people who are predominantly, well, entirely. I think there was one time where he said one word in English. I think I can't remember what it was. It features, people not speaking in the English language. So, yes, we should have the context. It's a lot about what he captures with his camera visually. So this is a visually striking film in addition to just being an important one. This is everything. This would be like trying to watch 20 Days of Mariupol without audio description. You just would have no idea what's going on. You watch it with audio description, you're like, holy fuck. You know, I mean, like, your life has just changed, and you're just like, what the shit is going on over there? They're just picking up dead kids, and you're just like, I'm speechless. And No Other Land has the ability to have that effect and to hit people, and it needs to hit broader. But at the same time, whereas I'm pissed off at the distributor of Flow and pissed off at the hundreds of Beavers fuckers who I know have enough money, this doesn't have a distributor. This movie's just barely making it. People don't want this movie here. They do not want this movie got booed at Berlin when it won. They've received death threats. So these guys, I need a distributor with balls to pick up this movie and slap some audio description on this. I need this to be an HBO documentary that translates onto Max, and then later on we get some audio description, because that's the only way this is ever going to happen, because No Other Land could feasibly win documentary feature and then just it never goes anywhere. Never happens. It just becomes like an Oscar thing, and then everybody just avoids it. Nobody wants to touch it, which would be a travesty. So, yeah, No Other Land wins this category. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.